Scrapbook.com is having some of my favorite products from them as their live stream deal. And so I wanted to share with you what I would do with these products in case you pick it up as well or you happen to have these in your stash. Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. So if you're catching this video live, Scrapbook.com is having a deal, a live stream deal, where they're offering their winter floral rub-ons, their block outline Christmas die set, and their new scissors. They're like spring action, ergonomic, I think is the word for it. So they have like little grips for your hands. And it's all three of those products for $13.99. So even if you only want two of the products, it's still a really, really great deal. So if you're like, you know what? I don't need more scissors, but if you have a scissor collection problem like me, where I'm like, I'm always willing to try and find the best scissor ever. And also I probably need, 10 of them because I'm going to lose them or use them all over the house and blah, 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 blah. So it's a great deal for the scissor. Plus the other items. So if you're going to wind up with an extra scissor, you're going to be all right. Okay. So today we're going to make some cards primarily with what came in the kit, so that in case you purchase the little bundle that you have some ideas for it, or if you're catching this video within the time frame of me, of the bundle being available, you can go pick it up. So I want to use this wreath die, but I don't want to use the flower that's in the middle of it. So I want to see if I can cut that out. These don't have these scissors do not have the pointiest point, which is not always a bad thing. It's just kind of what you are looking for at the moment. So for instance, you can see compared to cutter bees, let me see if my camera, there you go. They're a little duller at the tip. They don't have those super sharp points. Not necessarily good, bad, whatever thing, just, fact. And they do come with a cap for safety, just so you know. And then you can lock the scissors with this, I believe. Yes, you pull it up like that and then they're locked. So that's kind of a nice feature, and that's not something that Cutter Bee, the locking feature is not something that Cutter Bee has. Okay. So I love rub-ons because of the ability to make like really gorgeous professional looking cards. But Scrapbook.com in their live stream says that you can run, well, I mean, they did this. It's not like they're not guaranteeing this, but they pointed out that you could run a rub-on through a die cutting machine and have it press it down instead of using the popsicle stick. And since the popsicle stick drives me crazy, let's also do that. Let me take that great tip from that. And that's why you should watch their live streams. I was on for a little bit this morning too. I love all the ideas they give you. So if you ever purchase a bundle, you can go back and watch the live stream for that. Scrapbook.com, exclusive Spellbinders Platinum, and my Magic Mat. My favorite way to use my Magic Mat is with die cutting, because, well, I mean, that seems kind of obvious, but it gives really precise cutting. I have a little bit more luck with it, but my favorite way is with embossing dies. So if you ever have a die that has some embossing detail on it, I really recommend using the Magic Mat because it gives it a little bit deeper of an emboss than standard die cutting plates. This way of applying rub-ons makes me a little nervous because I feel like my die cutting machine gets, like my plates and stuff, they get dirty. And so I'd be worried that I'm like transferring things over, or I'd be putting texture on the back. But one of the other nice things about the Magic Mat is when you have like a really messed up die cutting plate and you run something through it, the pressure from the plate, because it's like a hard plastic, it tends to put more of the like grooves and texture into your cardstock. Whereas with the Magic Mat, because it's a little bit more pliable, I find that it's not giving me nearly as much, even though this mat is pretty cut up, it's not showing any texture on the back like it might for an older plate. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, I feel like I got great pressure. It kind of even like curled the paper a little bit, so I'm excited. Wow, okay, like a million times easier. Although I will say, because of the good pressure of the machine, which in general is definitely an advantage, this like jagged circle that I cut out. I can see a little bit of an impression of it. I don't think I could capture that on camera, but it's okay because we're actually going to cover that up anyway. We're going to, so I cut the word Mary from this like really light blue cardstock and a red cardstock from the Peppermint collection from scrapbook.com. And I cut it once out of red, once out of blue, and that will make 2 sets of words. If you get a die that has like an outline, you have to cut the outline die and then the word. And then if you want to reverse it, you have to do that again. So you're running it through the machine 4 times to get 2 words. And here you run it through the machine 2 times and you get 2 words. And I like that. It's a small little advantage, but it's one of the reasons that if I'm trying to get that outline look, sometimes I'll reach for these block words before something with a shadow die, because I know I could do it just a tiny bit faster. And actually, I think the inlaid look looks even nicer than the shadow and outline look, or the shadow and the die on top. Although you can actually, with some dies, have a shadow. And I got a little like spare bit of paper there that happens when you die cut sometimes. Sometimes if you have an outline die and the die on top, you can put them together and create this similar function, but not all the time, because sometimes the shadow die is solid, so you can't put the other word inside of it, or it's really hard to line up. Okay, so we have our Mary word. I try to lay it down straight, and then I'm going to come in with my glue. There is a little bit of an indentation of the this outer edge too, where the plastic was. It's pretty subtle. You certainly can't notice it on camera, but I do think that's worth noting, because I think there's going to be some people who like the idea of how fast that transfers, but they wouldn't want that impression. And so you might have to kind of work with your machine and see what if you can like relieve some of that pressure. But I mean, in terms of, did it apply the rub-on? Absolutely. And there was no like finickiness about it. Like I just pulled it right up, and that's great. So we're going to keep putting this in here. And then here with the R, you do have to make sure you hold on to that extra little piece that was cut out, like the inside of the R. I have it over here. That's why I like these trays. Any kind of bowl that you have will do. I've used bowls for many years, but the scrapbook.com trays have been nice because they're just like uniform. Because in the past, I've just kind of like picked some random trays or whatever that I've found. I had like a little gold owl tray for a long time that I used to use, but like being able to stack these up, contain them, and put them away for like a future project, because it's kind of like a lid. Now the top one doesn't have a lid. I do think that'd be kind of fun, but you can always just leave like a blank one on top, and it sort of contains them a little bit. It's not like a lid, like it's not like clicking in place, but enough to sit on top of each other, and then I can stack a whole bunch of them on my desk. I literally have like 4 stacks of them on my desk right now. So, okay. And then you'll just keep on doing the same thing to finish off this word. And then we'll share another simple idea. Another die cut, or no, sorry, another rub-on in the collection that's going to make like a simple, fast, beautiful card is this border one, which as you can see, stretches perfectly across an A2 sized card. So I will place it along the top, and like, you got to be gentle because it's not sticking all the way yet, but I do kind of want to see, like, if I just put my Mary word here, does this feel full? I do think Mary is fine on its own as a sentiment, but I did pull out this stamp set because I was considering whether I wanted to stamp a Christmas to go with some of them, so that's why that was out earlier. We'll see if I decide. This is another little border die that might, or I keep saying die, I don't know why, rub-on, that could help kind of complete this look. So when I cut off one of these teeny tiny rub-ons, I do have another stack and sort tray that has like all the rub-ons so that I could then collect them at the end and I won't lose their little backing pieces. But I'm also probably will try to like add them as a little extra embellishments to these cards before I finish, just because otherwise then I have these little pieces that I have to keep track of, and we all know how I feel about scraps, and that's kind of like rub-on scraps. So I be ready to get rid of those. Okay, so then this, it does have the leaf partially cut off, so that to me really indicates it should go along the edge. You know, I'm thinking I'm gonna put my scrapbook.com mint tape to tape these down like I would a die. Even if I don't run them through the die cut machine later and I just rub them down, at least I kind of don't have to worry about them shifting once I put that mint tape on them, at least for the time being. Okay, and then it might be nice to kind of circle up this edge here. Just want to show you a good mix of all the beautiful things. Ooh, that looks like it's also another similar kind of piece. Oh, but the flat edge is there. So that also kind of wants to go in the same corner. Maybe we can just sort of make our own with some of these rub-ons. Like this one's really pretty. Cut off that heart again. And that, it's really nice to like not have to go all the way open and all the way closed. It is a pretty comfortable scissor to use. It's, again, just starting to use it a little bit, so I don't have a like comprehensive opinion, but I'm enjoying it. Okay, and then we could place this here. We will like lose some of it, which is fine, but also it is overlapping the plastic of the other one, so we'll have to trim closer to make that work, and we will want to test our merry word. I think I'd probably shift it over and not center it if I want to use this one and get the most out of it. So now here, since if we're trying to keep them all and do like one pass of the die cutting machine, for instance, if we want to apply our rub-ons that way, then we want to cut off the extra plastic that's on this one so that those fit perfectly. And the same thing here. There is a little bit extra on each. They're almost touching each other, so we're going to need to trim off any of that extra so that the rub-on transfers over to the card and not to the other like backer sheet, essentially. Some of this is actually already coming off because these are such high quality rub-ons. It doesn't take like a lot of pressure to rub them off. So know that once you put them down like this, they may start transferring as you're kind of gently, or sorry, as you're touching them, because they are meant to transfer really well and really easily, and that's the result of that. Okay, so now we could just run this through the die cut machine and get a full quick tip. You will want to trim off this extra so it doesn't get like rubbed onto your magic mat, because honestly I don't even know if you could get it off. Probably, I guess, but it does, like rub-ons do stick to acetate, or the scrapbook.com ones do anyway, so I wouldn't want to accidentally rub it onto a surface that I didn't want to then have to scrape it off later. Okay, so even though we have a lot of rub-ons and a lot of surface area of those rub-ons, we've run it through the machine. I did run it through twice, like back and then forward, in part because my die cut machine is butted up against the wall, so it's a little bit easier just to bring it back out the other end than to grab it from behind. But anyway, I just figured that will help make sure. And then you can see that my mint tape is stuck down pretty well to this, but it's still not tearing. I don't have to worry about that with mint tape. So that's it's one of my favorite ones to use for that. I have in the past, even like delicate surface painter's tape has ripped my cardstock in the past, but mint tape never has. Okay, so then I can add my merry word here and do a similar sort of inlaid die cutting, inlaid die cutting look that I showed you before. So I'm always continuously in love. Every time I use the rub-ons, I'm like, ooh, I should buy a few more packs. I try to resist because I haven't used them all yet, but they're so pretty. Okay, so I was thinking, at least for this card, I think I want to add Christmas to the Merry. I don't know if I quite have enough room on that side. Probably should have moved it up a little bit. But I have the scrapbook.com Wordfetti December. And they're in the both, there's Fa La La and December for the Wordfettis, and they both have a Merry Christmas sentiment. But I'm probably going to use the Merry Christmas sentiment. I don't think this one says Christmas Party. I don't scrapbook a lot, so I don't see myself using the Christmas Party sentiment as a complete sentiment. Or if I do, I can always put them back together. But I'm going to cut this one apart instead of my Merry Christmas, because I'm probably going to even want a separate Christmas sentiment at some future point, and just having that will be convenient, because now I can, next time I use this Merry die, because I have used these several times in the past, they are a favorite of mine, I will have this ready to go. Okay, I'm a little bit scared to stamp directly onto the paper, guys, but I might do it. I could use, have you seen the scrapbook.com rose quartz Misty? Beautiful. I don't need a new Misty. I gotta keep telling myself that. I don't need a new Misty. All right, so let's get some ink for this. I chose Lawn Fawn Cranberry ink, and I stamped it a few times on a Post-it note to make sure, because this is a new stamp, want to make sure it's gonna stamp well. Sometimes there's like a little bit of like, I don't know, something from manufacturing that causes it not to stamp perfectly the first time. But when I do this, I'm gonna just hold it. I'm not gonna put like a crazy amount of pressure, but I'm actually just gonna like let the ink have some time to transfer over to the paper. Because I think, especially when we get used to having them misty, or any kind of stamping platform where you can stamp again, we start just like stamping quickly because we know we can fix it. And then when we come back to our stamp block, we might have developed a bad habit of stamping too quickly, and giving it a little bit extra time to transfer can be helpful. And so actually, yeah, it worked out beautifully, and I didn't ruin the cards, yay! So if you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links, because you're gonna want this bundle, and yeah, get ready to start stocking your mailbox. See you in the next video.